Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Time for another chat. We haven't done one of those in a while. So, if you're new here, settle in. I'm going to tell you all about our family this year and how the transition back to teaching went because it was a big adventure for us. So, I was teaching this past year and the lessons I learned, the challenges, how it impacted our budget, all of those things, as well as my plans for the upcoming year. So, for those of you who are new, I'm Kristen here at Joyfully Thriving, and I was a teacher. I am a teacher, as I learned this year. I actually met my husband at Teachers College years ago. He is entering year 24 of teaching. I taught for 10 years, and then we had kids, and I started staying home with them and working from home on my website and building a business here. And after 10 years at home this past year, I returned to teaching. So a little bit of the backstory, we are teachers at a Lutheran school in town. This was what I was trained to do, and I'm going to try to make sense of everything. I feel like I have to catch you up a little bit, and then I'll talk about lessons learned. So just get comfy. If you have dishes to wash or laundry to fold, this is a great time to just listen here as I'm trying to catch you up for those of you who I know have been eagerly waiting for this update and just have encouraged me all this year and been praying for me as we made it through this year. So I did it. We made it through and I learned a lot. It's taken me a while just to even put into words everything that I learned and how this year unfolded. So let me try to catch you up. It all started last year. We were actually traveling on vacation when we realized we just were not getting some of our positions filled at our school. We had a lot of turnover for various reasons last year, and we were struggling to get all of them filled, including a kindergarten position. And I was trained as a kindergarten teacher. I have a double degree in early childhood and elementary ed. So I had taught kindergarten and preschool previously, as well as 3rd and 4th grade. And I also had taught K-8 music. So I had a wide variety of experiences. And I just really felt after a lot of praying and talking this through with Andy that I needed to return to the classroom last year for 1 year. And that was the commitment I made. We made that decision right about 3 weeks before school started. So it was very much a whirlwind because I knew there were a lot of changes that were going to happen for our family. And it was a challenging year at times, but it was definitely filled with a lot of blessings. And I felt at peace with this year. There were definitely some overwhelming moments, some long days and challenging weeks, but God had made all the pieces fall into place just as they needed to be. It just was very clear this was where I needed to be this past year. The first thing was he sent me an amazing co-teacher. When I said I was willing to return to the classroom, I knew that Caleb was now old enough, our youngest, to enter preschool. So our kids at the start of last year were 3, 5, 7, 9. They were preschool, kindergarten, 2nd grade, and 4th grade. And Caleb was old enough to start preschool, but I knew with our family, I just couldn't do a full day. And so there was another retired teacher who came out of retirement, Sue, and was willing to co-teach with me. And here's the first piece of the puzzle that, again, was such a God thing because Sue and I, we were members at church together. We knew each other from church just very casually, but we didn't know each other all that well when we agreed to do this. And it worked so well. I could not have done this year without her. She was the best co-teacher I could have asked for. We worked really well together. Our styles ended up blending very well. The transition from morning to afternoon worked very smoothly. It just worked so well, and I am so thankful because I could not have done this year without her. We decided early on that we would just kind of split things in the middle. I was the morning teacher, so I would bring all the kids to school with me. They would hang out in my classroom as we quick kind of prepped everything in the morning, and I go to teacher devotions. They'd help set up the room for the day. And then I would teach in the morning while Caleb was in preschool. He'd eat his lunch with preschool. And by that time, Sue had come in. We'd overlap for a little bit to just kind of touch base and give each other some notes on the day. And she would take them up to lunch. I would clean up the classroom quickly for my morning and then take Caleb home for the afternoon, have the afternoon at home with him before we'd turn around and come back to school and pick up the other kids. So it was busy days. It was very busy days. We decided, like I said, Sue and I, to split things. So I was the teacher who was really responsible for religion first thing and the core subjects of reading and math. I did those. And then in the afternoon, Sue came in and did handwriting and phonics and all the specials and all the juggling of all the things in the afternoon. So it worked really well. Instead of trading things back and forth, we each kind of had our subject areas. They overlapped a little bit, but I am so thankful for her. I could not have done this year without her. Like, that was the first answered prayer right there. So we had a class of 12, Sue and I did. It was a great size. It was a wonderful class. We had an amazing group of parents who were super supportive, and that was really a blessing too, because teaching, it is such teamwork between parents and school, and we want to have that relationship, a good relationship with them. And so to have a group of parents who was very supportive and worked well with us really was a great blessing. So I got to teach my daughter, Lily, this year, and that was a first. I actually have never taught any of our own kids. I homeschooled them all kind of through preschool. Nathan and Emma, our oldest, did do 1 year of preschool. Lily did not do any preschool. Actually, she was home with me. So this was her first experience with school, and she was a little nervous. So having me as her teacher in the mornings was a good thing. It kind of gave her some comfort. But at the same time, she got a different teacher in the afternoons, which was really good and exactly what she needed to stretch her out of her comfort zones and just help her realize she can do really well at school. And she did just fine without mom there. So that was a good thing. And then Caleb started in preschool, our youngest, and he absolutely loved it. He loved school every day. He was thrilled. Just, is it a school day? And so that was so good to see. And he had amazing teachers who, again, that was a huge piece of the puzzle too, to just know that there were teachers caring for him and teaching for him while I was in school. I didn't have to worry about any of that. One of the unique things was we were all at school together. Andy was transitioning to his role as principal. He just finished his first year as principal. So in addition to me returning to teaching, it was a big year of transition for him. He still taught 8th grade history and then the Washington, D.C. trip. That's his specialty and his passion. Does an amazing job with that. But he was principal after 2 decades of teaching. So it was a big transition year for our family, and we were all there for it together. It was really a unique thing because how many kids can say they went to school with both of their parents every day? We were in the same place. So that was a really unique thing, a really unique blessing, and we enjoyed it. I won't drag out the whole year a lot, but I just wanted to give you a little bit, hopefully, of that backstory for those of you who weren't aware. And then let's talk challenges and some of the lessons I learned here. So the first lesson I learned was once a teacher, always a teacher. I had been out of the classroom for 10 years, and like I said, and as I was home with kids, and the teaching things, they came back very naturally. People have told me before I'm a natural teacher. Maybe some of it is that, maybe some of that is the training and the years in the classroom. But once a teacher, always a teacher, it was very easy to slip back into those routines and those styles and to pull things out. I did have to really rethink some things. Some things I did the same as I had done in the past. Some I did not, and I did a lot of things new because the last time I had taught kindergarten, it had been a 15-year gap since I was in kindergarten, and the kindergarten where I previously taught was a half-day program in a different area of Ohio. Here now I was kind of more of an inner city, and so I had to rethink some things, restructure things. Obviously, there was new curriculum to learn and to teach, and reading. I mean, that's huge in kindergarten. Teaching all the letters and the sounds and watching the kids take off. It's so fun, but it is a lot of work. Thankfully, once a teacher, always a teacher, those things came back to me very quickly. The second lesson I learned was teaching as a single teacher, teaching as a newlywed without kids is very different from teaching with kids. And I know there are a lot of teachers out there with families who do it. And the great thing about that is you are on the same schedule as your kids. So it does make a lot of sense that you can be at school when your kids are at school. You have the same snow days, you have the same holidays, you have the same summer vacation, you're home with them. And so there are a lot of really good things about that as a teaching profession if you're a teacher and a mom. But having taught previously for my 10 years without kids, where I was very, very invested in the classroom. I still was this year because if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it with all that is in me. So I was very invested, but it did take more juggling because now I couldn't spend all my nights and evenings prepping things as much. I had to be very efficient with my time. So that was just a different challenge to learn. This was the first time I really was teaching with kids, and it was very different, but it made me very intentional about what I did. I thankfully with kindergarten did not have a lot of grading. I had a lot of prep, and there were weeks with meetings and conferences and things like that where the kids would, play in the classroom while I was doing meetings, or they'd go home with my husband as we did that. But I really tried to not bring a lot home. And then the prep things I would do in the evenings after they were in bed or on the weekends as we were playing. When I get to school, I really set things up in a 15-20 minutes. I am naturally a pretty high energy person. I'm very motivated, very efficient. When I got to school, I was kind of in the school zone and focused, and here we go. Like any little break, I did not have any teaching breaks. I had 2 PEs that we had someone else who taught PE this year with the kids. They loved him, and he was amazing. And so I had 2 half-hour breaks throughout the whole week. But other than that, I was there, I was teaching my full morning, and it was just a busy go, go, go. So I just learned to really maximize my time and make good use of that. The third lesson that I learned was that our family really rose to the challenge this year. We knew, Andy and I talked to our kids about this, that this was going to be a really different year for them too. Dad was now principal, so he was always busy as a teacher, but he was even busier, and his nights became fuller, and that was a different challenge. And now mom was back in the classroom there. So this was going to impact our kids. We knew that. And our kids, our family together rose to the challenge. And that was really neat to see. My kids did not fuss about being there in the mornings. I tried to really, like I said, I always pick them up at the end of the day dismissal wise. And we tried to not have too many evenings or afternoons meetings. There were a couple weeks, like at the end of quarters when I do conferences, and then Andy would take them home. But our kids really rose to the challenge. Andy was hugely supportive of me. He obviously was very thankful I was willing to teach as a principal. Just from that logistics, he had a position filled between Sue and I. But then as my husband, he was very supportive and encouraging, just making sure I had everything that I needed. But it was a lot to juggle the teaching and everything at home and all of those responsibilities, because I still was doing another job. It really was the big issue with this. In addition to being a mom and a wife and a teacher, I do have a business that I've been running for the last 10 years. And that really leads to the fourth lesson too, because I love what I'm doing, I have learned. So I actually have been running a website called Joyfully Thriving for the past 11 years. Then about 4 years ago, I added Etsy on as a stream of revenue into that business, selling custom Christian books where I add Bible verses. I handwrite them into books, such as, The Places You'll Go. That's a very popular one at graduation. I add a Bible verse on every page that corresponds to the books. I have several other of those. I've actually been selling those books almost for 10 years, but I switched to specifically selling on Etsy in the last 4 years. I used to do it a little through my website. And then in the past 2 years, I've also added YouTube. So this is my business, and I have slowly built this to a business that is giving me an income for our family. It has been earning and slowly growing over the past decade to the point where it has become a solid part-time steadily increasing every year income for our family. So I've spent 10 years building this business, really, just slowly, little bits in the nap times when kids, late at night, early mornings. It's just been a slow and steady thing. And it has really grown over the past couple of years. So when I started teaching this year, I said, it's just going to be my year to maintain. And I felt at peace about that. As much as I love what I'm doing, I knew if I was teaching, I could not continue running my own business at the same level of effort and energy that I had the previous year, because now I had to do teaching. And as I was doing those things and teaching this year, I loved teaching. I still do love teaching. But what I learned this year for the final lesson, and maybe one of the most important ones, honestly, is that I love what I am doing now. I loved teaching for the decade I was teaching. And again, this year was a good teaching year, but I love more what I am doing from home. I love running a website and helping others save money. I love writing these custom books and hearing from people who are buying them for graduations and for baptisms and adoptions, and hearing from all these people and the busy moms who are printing my letters and saying, you save so much time. And I love being on YouTube and sharing grocery hauls and encouraging other people and helping them save money and connecting with all of you here and getting to know your stories as I share mine and doing that. I love what I am doing. And as much as I love teaching, I love this more. And that's been a really interesting lesson, because I wouldn't have known that if I didn't return to teaching. My goal when I started this business was always what Andy and I said, was I would be home with the kids. And when the youngest returned to kindergarten, that was the time we'd kind of reevaluate and see if I was returning to the classroom. And so this happened a little earlier than we thought, because Caleb was still in preschool. He will be in preschool one more year this year before going on to kindergarten. So I got the opportunity to be back in the classroom and kind of see if this was where I was going to go and if that was the direction we would take. The part-time position was amazing. It was wonderful to just have even a little bit more of that flexibility. And I had a great co-teacher. But as much as I did enjoy it, I love what I am doing more, because I am at home and I am working from home. So what I really learned was I need to claim that. I need to own that. I am a work from home mom. I love what I am doing, and it has become a good source of income that allows me to be at home with our kids as I grow my own business. So those were some of the lessons I learned. Let's talk challenges, because there were a lot of great things about it, but there were definitely challenges. And I'm going to be honest, one of the biggest challenges was sick kids. I am very thankful that our family is very healthy. I did not take any sick days this year. I think in my whole career, I took like 2 sick days. Thankfully, I think being around all the early childhood settings, I just have very good immunity. And our kids do not get sick very often. Grandma watched one day. We had a little bit of a stomach bug at one point where thankfully it was just a really quick one. So Andy covered in the mornings like twice and just stayed home and did some of his work from home while I taught, and then we'd switch off. But that was a challenge, and it was hard because in the past, if my kids just were feeling a little under the weather and just off, you moms all know how it is, I could just say, yeah, I'm keeping you home today. But now, like many of you know too, it's like, well, are you really sick, or can we still go to school? Like, you have that whole added logistics. So that was definitely a challenge. One of the other challenges was realizing how much every minute counted. Time was so valuable. And because of that, that did impact my budget. And I know some of you have wondered that and asked that, because that's what I talk about a lot, saving money. I was able to maintain our grocery budget, but we definitely found we were not paying as close of attention to our budget this year. I was making more money from teaching at school, so it allowed us a little bit of flexibility, and we ate out slightly more, not really a lot. But I realized that time is valuable and time is money. So there were times that it was just easier to pay to do something quick, or I relied on Amazon a lot more because all of a sudden I realized, oh, we needed this for school, or one of the kids needed this for a project, and I didn't have time to run out to the stores and get these things ahead of time because I was very focused on things. So we did spend some more this year. It all worked out with our budget wise again, and we were able to save some more money this year. We obviously bought a minivan and we paid cash for it. Some of that was from the blogging money that I have been setting aside the last couple of years, but having that extra source of income this year was a huge blessing for some of those expenses. Along with that, I really was more on a day-to-day mode. I am naturally a planner. I like to know what's coming and plan ahead as much as I can. But with all the things I was juggling between being a wife and a mom and our house and teaching and my business and YouTube and Etsy and my website and all of the things, I was very much in a day-to-day mode for most of the year. Eventually I could settled into some good routines, and I could kind of stay at least a week ahead on lesson plans, or I could script out some different things. But even things like meal planning and being as ahead of the game as I used to be, I just mentally couldn't stay as far ahead as I wanted to. I wanted to have better plans, but it was not quite like a survival mode. To some extent it was, but it was much more of a day-to-day mode. Like I said, even things like just being ahead on the kids' projects or staying on top of all of the things, it was a lot harder to do this year. And we made it through. Like I said, truly by the grace of God, we made it through. But I did function more in a day-to-day mode this year than I like doing. So I learned and appreciated more how much all of our routines were needed. And we developed them through the year. Like I developed, I would start a load of laundry right before I left for school. So as soon as I walked in the door with Caleb, I could throw it into the dryer. And then I'd be folding it before we went back to pick up the kids. All of those little things. I would prep a day ahead for meals, maybe 2, but I didn't have that full week out again. We had our good routines of grocery shopping and restocking. I did pack lunches this year. I relied a little more on convenience foods, or I did every plate a couple times. That was a lifesaver. And I just learned and adapted our routines this year as we needed. And we did it. We made it through this year. So what does this mean for this upcoming year? A lot of people watched and they said, are you going to keep teaching next year? And as you guessed, no, I am not. We actually did call a full-time teacher. There was a minute where Sue and I both thought, oh, maybe we can keep doing this. And then we thought, no, it really is best for the kids and for us. We were both ready to transition back into our roles, Sue back to being retired and me back to working from home. We did call a full-time teacher who is moving here shortly and will be teaching kindergarten full-time. She's going to be amazing, super excited. I have said I will still be around to help or encourage her as much as she needs as she transitions to a new school. She is a kindergarten teacher and has been for a number of years, but just anything she needs, happy to be here as a support. I have said I will sub occasionally to help out with school, but the big thing is I am going back to working from home. Last year, I really had to put my own business on the back burner, and for the past decade, as I've been building it, it's all been done in little pockets of time. Now this next year, I get to focus really on growing my business, and I am super excited. Caleb will be in preschool still in the mornings. So this upcoming year, Caleb will be in preschool for 1 more year. Lily will be in 1st grade, Emma will be in 3rd grade, and Nathan will be in 5th grade. Can't believe that already. And so I will have the mornings to work every day without any kids at home. And I am really excited about this opportunity just to see how much my business can grow. And I actually just recently invested in a YouTube course, and I'm learning more things to share with you guys here and to work on growing this channel and continuing to share all the content you love and want and need, of course, but to just be able to focus on doing what I love. I'm going to own it. I am a work from home mom. I've never said that. Like in the past, I've always been like, oh, I'm a stay-at-home mom. And occasionally if people asked, I'd try to explain. People don't really understand, and that's okay. It does seem amazing and kind of unreal that you can make legitimate money from writing a website, or that an Etsy shop actually has grown to the point. I just had over 6,000 sales that I have done since I opened my Etsy shop, and that can become a viable stream of income. And that YouTube, you can actually make money from people watching your videos, and thanks to all of you who do and let those ads play, since that's how I make money here, and all of those things, all those pieces together have really built a thriving and growing business for me. And I am so thankful for all the hours that I have put in slowly and steadily to have grown it over the past decade. And I'm excited to see what this next year will hold. So I've been going on and on. Hopefully this makes sense. Hopefully it gives you a little bit of a peek into how this last year unfolded. Like I said, it really was a good year. I am still firmly convinced that being a kindergarten teacher last year at our school was exactly where I needed to be for this past year. And those doors were open for a reason. That was where God wanted and needed me to be. I am thankful I could serve in that way and that capacity with our school and our faculty and our students and families. But I am also as equally convinced now that where I need to be is back at home. Andy's schedule as a principal is very demanding, and I need to be here to be able to support him. And I have a business that I love doing. I love growing and love working. I said at the beginning, once a teacher, always a teacher. And I think my teaching role has really transitioned. Instead of being in the classroom with kids, I get to teach more here on YouTube. I get to teach you guys and talk and share with you. You're helping and encouraging me too, by the way. Love the tips that you're sharing. But I get to be the teacher here. I've had a couple of people say that. They're like, we can tell you're a teacher. You just have that style about you. It is true. I am a teacher, and that's what I love doing. So now I'm going to teach here on YouTube and continue writing on my website and sharing things there and creating new content and custom books to share on Etsy. I will leave links to all of those channels below. I do have a newsletter where I share more personal things every week. If you want to sign up for that, I'll leave that link below. I'd love to keep connecting with you more there. But that is how this year unfolded. That's looking ahead. I'm going to be here at home working and supporting our family from home, doing that. So, did I answer all the questions? What did I miss? I know some of you have said you really like these chats. Do you want to see them every month? More this vlogging style that some people do. Let me know things you'd love to see here from me on YouTube as I focus more on this channel this upcoming year. I do want to close just by saying thank you so much for all of you and your patience with me this year, your encouragement, your prayers, your support, your excitement over entering the school year and then wrapping it up. It truly was by the grace of God that I made it through, and your support and encouragement and prayers made a huge difference to me and our family. So I truly appreciate that, and thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this chat. It was good to sit and kind of catch you up on all the things. If I missed something, let me know in the comments below and I'll answer you there. Thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you back with my frugal grocery haul on Thursday.